Happy Friday, people, and happy 5th of July. I hope you had a good 4th and are still having a good 4th of July weekend. Up here in Alaska, it's been a little interesting. Yesterday, we hit a 50-year high of 91 degrees. That was sick. I was 6 months old at the time and wasn't living up here. It's just been miserable up here. But hey, that just means you gotta sit inside and read comics instead of being outside and do things. It's just been really fun. So I'm going to be doing a couple of reviews here and let you know what I think of a couple different comics. So stay tuned, and I will let you know what I think after this. And I'm back. Okay, I don't know if you can hear that in the background. There's a big fan going on just because it's unbelievably hot. If I didn't have this thing going, I'd be sitting here sweating just because of the heat. So, I'm going to do a review of The Walking Dead 193. What turns out to be the final issue of The Walking Dead. A triple-sized issue which wraps everything up nicely. The weird thing was, I don't know about anyone else, but I found out about this like a day, maybe two ahead of time, that this is the last issue. And I know Robert Kirkman didn't reveal that much ahead of time, so maybe it was 2 days ahead of time. But it was kind of bittersweet because I've been following this this series since about 100 when Glenn died. And I'm sitting there thinking, hey, what's the thing that he's going to do? What's the big thing for 200 going to be? Excuse me. Turns out we don't need to worry about that. All right. So to cover the issue of 193, it opens up a little more than a decade or so after the last issue takes place with an adult Carl. He's married. He's got a young daughter named Andrea, and a walker approaches his house, and he dispatches of it fairly quickly. Turns out that they haven't had a walker within the area in years. It's been they've been relatively safe for a long time. Things have been proceeding nicely. There's expanding going on. Some of the younger people have no idea what it's like having to live through what Carl and the other people have lived through. This walker was owned by Maggie's son, Herschel, who is doing a kind of a traveling show with walkers. Excuse me. And it was his property. This is kind of showing how far they have evolved in this last few years, that people are safe. People are, the younger generations are unaware of what their parents and what the previous generations had to go through to give them the security that they have. And so there's a little bit, a little bit of back and forth. He had to go to some sort of a court thing and to deal with the destruction of property. It turns out that Maggie is now the president of what is the Commonwealth, what they were dealing with in up to 192, the one lady, and she gets him. She kind of comes in and deals with the situation, and things proceed from there. And in this issue, you find out, what has happened to some of the big people in the previous stories. You have Michonne, you have Maggie, you have Carl, you have Jesus, and some of the other people. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to ruin things for people if they haven't read it yet. But it kind of has kind of an Old West feel to it, kind of the expansion going on, the East Coast meeting up with the West Coast. There's dangers going on, but it's not as bad as it could be. Everything is covered fairly well, and there's a little bit of tension going on just because of the conflict involved with the story, but it's not as bad as it was with the walkers and stuff. But I think Kirkman really did wrap this story up very well. It was it's kind of bittersweet that there's going to be no more Walking Dead. But I think everything was answered, or at least to my satisfaction, and I will give it a 4 out of 5, just because it was pretty good, and I don't think anything can be perfect, but and I'm not super happy that it's over, so that probably might be one reason for it being not as high, but get the comic, if you haven't got it. It was well worth the read and a satisfactory ending to the series, and talk to you later. Bye.